Hello, Libra, and welcome to the video associated with your electric life, your Astrology Studio reading for 2019-2020, previously called the birthday reading, but Astrology Studio is a more poetic name for this particular product, so here you go. The purpose of this video is to provide some animated visuals for those who have already purchased the reading, but for those of you who have not, to show you the kind of chart method that I use, how I managed to work without the birth time, date, or place, and just using the chart for Libra itself, which is sometimes called a solar chart, and which I sometimes call the archetypal chart, and to tell you some of the topics that I have covered. So as you know, I use this thing called the solar chart, which is it's just chart about Libra. It's not about any individual person. And what I'm able to do with the solar chart is to describe the environment and to convey ideas about how the environment influences you and how you relate to your environment. So first, a quick look at the solar chart. Here we have the sign Libra on the first house, and that is the sign and house of self, the house of self and self-actualization. I am partial to using the entire cross of any sign. So Libra is a sign on the cardinal cross, and therefore I use all of the signs on the cardinal cross, which include careful reading of Capricorn, a careful reading of Aries, and a careful reading of Virgo. As you know, there's big activity going on in Capricorn, there's big activity going on in Aries, and there is subtle activity going on in Cancer and in Libra. And so the actual chart that I have used is this, where I've now added the planets, and so here we again we have Libra in the first house, and the first house is how you think of yourself and what you project into the world. The seventh house over here is the house of the environment and what you experience in the environment. And the most interesting thing in the seventh house right now is Chiron. That is truly interesting. It's rare. Chiron hasn't been in Aries for about 42 years. It finally arrived last year, made a transition arrived to stay earlier this year. And what Chiron in Aries is doing is helping you focus your relationships and your purpose in your relationships, and also giving you a kind of a focal point amidst all of this rather astonishing chaos in the world that we are living with right now under the influence of digital, which has basically turned our psyches and our relationships inside out, and in many ways eviscerated the whole notion of interior space, of a space and sanctuary within yourself. And to the extent that that inner sanctuary exists, it may be pretty fraught with conflict, because one of the things that's just innate and seemingly natural in the context of digital is a lot of context and a lot of conflict and a lot of binary, right? The whole digital environment, including this image that you're looking at, the sound that you're hearing, and all the coding that frames the page is all a bunch of zeros and ones. And underneath all this whole wonderful illusion, therefore, is this extreme polarization, and we are all being impacted by that polarization, which means that there's a lot of polarity and conflict. And so even to the extent that the inner environment still exists as a place you can focus your awareness, there may be conflict in there. And what Chiron is doing is helping you, it's kind of like a dancer spotting, where every time the dancer makes a turn, they spot on the same thing on the wall. You can see them doing it, and that gives you an ability to spin but not get dizzy. So we need to spot. The world is dizzying right now, and then at the same time, you need something to spot onto, and that thing would be Chiron. So another theme that I cover is what is going on in this fourth place of home and security. And there's quite a bit of activity going on. The fourth covers home, security, lineage, and your sense of belonging, your sense of safety in the world. And for 11 years, Pluto, let's go right in there. That's Mr. Pluto has been moving through Capricorn and your fourth house, which has been shaking your foundations. And this is perhaps associated with the feeling that no place is really safe. But at the same time, what you've had to do as a matter of necessity is be a source of your own safety and also emotionally independent. Other factors have led to you needing to be emotionally independent. They've collaborated and conspired together and worked together to make sure that you really get the message, but that is one of the most significant things going on. Then in 2017, Saturn arrived here, and now we are very close to the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. The Saturn-Pluto conjunction is going to take place on 1/12/20, which is the next major turning point. I'm recording this on the Libra equinox, first day of the sun sign in Libra. It entered at about 3:30 in the morning, local time where I'm sitting. And this is a kind of a handoff day because just on Saturday, the Jupiter square Neptune aspect ended and began to separate. And then we're now moving into the Saturn conjunct Pluto aspect, which is a lot more hardcore, but it's also more realistic. It's more practical, more tangible, and much easier to work with. But in any event, you're having this Saturn conjunct Pluto event in the fourth house of home and security. And what this is saying is it's very important that you be able to focus on making sure that you understand where your sense of safety comes from, what your sense of safety is about, and the limits on expecting the world to make you safe, and understanding that your sense of belonging and your sense of being secure come from you and only from you. Affirmation from the outside can be helpful, but depending on affirmation from the outside can be really difficult, and especially if it goes away at some point. The perhaps most exciting thing about your chart is that at the end of 2020, Saturn here and Jupiter here form a conjunction in your fifth house Aquarius, and this is going to open up a vast creative play space of possibilities and of commitment to the art that you do, and commitment to the sense of adventure in life. Usually Saturn in the fifth is not considered a particularly positive or adventurous thing, but Saturn in the fifth in Aquarius certainly is, and Saturn in the fifth in Aquarius with a conjunction from Jupiter is saying that you'll have the ability to both contain your efforts in a disciplined way, and also lots of material to work with, and a sense of optimism and expansion coming from Jupiter, which will help you push the boundaries of your world outward, while Saturn from the outside helps you contain them. And it's a little like a potter's hands on a piece of pottery. The inner hand pushing the pot out is Jupiter, and the outer hand holding the outside together is Saturn. And in this most creative zone in your chart, the fifth house, you're about to have both of those working together. Though that is a year off, there's some territory to cross before you get there. But you should know that you're heading in this direction, which may be something you just really have wanted to have for a long time. And there's no need to wait. You can begin the process now. You can do the things that will help you get there now. One last point to make in this short video is I want to show you that Logos here, and the Sun, but Logos is a long-term visitor to your first house. Logos takes I'm looking at a thing up on my wall, not at a UFO, 307.42 years to go around the zodiac, it's going to be in Libra for a while, and it's in fairly early Libra. And the thing about logos is that it is a thing that helps us frame reality. It is a kind of a paradigm we choose to live in, and one of the ways that we develop the paradigm is to be mindful of the words that we use. So the words we use help us shape our reality. They are not only communication vectors, but they're the way that we sculpt our consciousness. Words are very, very important in our society. In many ways, our entire way of life is based on words and the phonetic alphabet, representations of sound in meaningless images, kind of crazy, which is a thing that emerges out of Greek culture. So there's something in the Greek mind that did this, and logos was one of the most important concepts to the Greeks. And if you look it up, you'll basically get a summary of the history of Greek thought and in many ways of Western philosophy. But in terms of an astrological object, a placement, a symbol, I take logos as the ability to frame your reality, your ability to choose the paradigm that you're in, and I would offer you the reminder that others have offered before me, which is that the words you use to describe your reality in many ways set the terms and limits of your reality, or they help you break through the previous terms and limits that were set on your reality. All right, so keeping this short in the spirit of 10-minute videos on YouTube, I'm going to do about a 13-minute one, and the reading is ready. It is on the server at this moment. Planet Waves crew is putting it together, mostly in the person of Amy, putting it together on the page with the charts that come with it. These charts in high resolution format. And there's another audio that goes with it called Self and Society, which is a close-up on the activity that's going on in Aries and Capricorn, which of course are deeply influential in your life. And then a little bit later in the season, there will be a tarot card reading. Once again, thank you for checking out this video. Thank you for being a Planet Waves customer and or subscriber. And thank you for trusting me as your astrologer. Bye for now. Click.